So like a lot of people in 2020, not being able to go out meant there was a lot of time spent sitting in front of the computer or in front of the television. And not having to go out also meant that there was a lot more time to eat due to boredom. But as time went on, like everybody else, I began to notice that my waistline was getting a lot wider. And also doing these videos, I got to see what I really looked like, and I just wasn't happy with my waistline. So in November 2020, I decided to take some measurements, and I was really shocked at how big I'd actually gotten. Now I know that being overweight has got lots of consequences, such as high risk for diabetes, heart disease, some cancers, and stroke. Also in January of this year, I bought a weighing scales that not just only gave you your weight, but also your BMI, your visceral fat percentage, which is the fat around your organs. And having fat around your organs carries more risks for all these illnesses and diseases. So when I got those measurements, and there were quite a few high measurements, especially the body fat percentage, I knew it was time to do something about my weight. So in this video, I'm going to share what I've been doing to help me lose my menopause and lockdown weight gain. If you're new here, my name is Shirley, and on this channel I share nutritional and lifestyle tips to make living in midlife and menopause a lot easier. So seeing the measurements that the weighing scales gave us was really a wake-up call to do something about it. So the first thing that we gave up was basically drinking alcohol. Now, like a lot of people, since actually February, because we were on holiday, and all the way through right up until Christmas, we did fall into the trap of drinking alcohol near on daily. And I know as a nutritional therapist, you might not want to hear that, but at least I'm being honest and letting you know that I am human after all. But that's what we did, is to give up alcohol from the 3rd of January when we did our first weigh-in. And the reason alcohol helps you to put on weight is basically because it's just empty calories, and it's also seen by the body as a toxin. So what happens is that when you're drinking alcohol, your body will detoxify alcohol first. So as a result, the calories from the food and the drinks and whatever else you're consuming is being stored in your fat cells, because the alcohol is being processed by your body first. And that is how, in simple terms, alcohol helps you to put on weight. But being women in perimenopause or menopause, alcohol also has other effects on our body. And what's happening is that the hormones that our body is producing and using up is not being processed or metabolized, and just as importantly, excreted out of our body. So there is the risk of estrogen dominance, namely because alcohol gets processed and detoxified first, and estrogen takes second place in terms of being metabolized and excreted out of our body after any alcohol has been processed. Alcohol is also seen as empty calories, and because of that it raises our blood sugar levels, which then affects our gut bacteria, feeding the non-beneficial bacteria in our guts. There's a strong link between weight loss and the level of beneficial and non-beneficial bacteria, which leads me on to tip number 2. And it's important that we have a good balance of beneficial and non-beneficial bacteria in our gut. And the different species of our gut bacteria is easily affected by the types of food that we eat. Now, the food that you eat is either feeding the beneficial bacteria or feeding the non-beneficial bacteria. So in order to help lose the menopause and lockdown weight gain, what I've been doing is adding a lot more vegetables in our diet instead of using rice, pasta, potatoes, bread or similar types of food. And the purpose of that is basically green leafy vegetables and cruciferous vegetables provide soluble and insoluble fibre that feeds on the beneficial bacteria in our gut, which will then help the balance of bacteria in our gut to help us lose the weight. Eating more vegetables is also feeding the beneficial bacteria that produce something called short-chain fatty acids. And what short-chain fatty acids do is to help provide you with a lot more energy by creating B vitamins as a result of feeding off the green leafy vegetables and the fibre-rich foods that you're eating. So when those short-chain fatty acids is providing you with increased energy levels, you're less likely to snack on sugary or high carbohydrate foods to sustain your energy. And that leads us on to tip number 3, is reducing high carbohydrate foods such as cakes, biscuits, pasta, breads, chocolates, and I think you get the picture. So basically all these foods release their sugar or glucose really quickly into your body, and when this happens, a hormone called insulin is released from your pancreas, and the reason for that is our body can only take about 5 grams of sugar at a time. And when you're eating a lot of sugary foods, what's happening is you're actually raising your blood sugar levels to such levels that the body really can't handle it. So what happens is the pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. And the whole purpose of insulin is to bring your blood sugar levels to a more normal, acceptable level. But in order to do that, that excess sugar that's been circulating in your body is stored in your fat cells as fat. And that's why it's really important to cut down on rice and potatoes and bread and all those fast releasing sugary foods. And that's what we've been doing, is instead of having rice in the evenings or maybe bread or cereals for breakfast, we've been totally cutting that out. We've also been fasting really and trying not to have breakfast in the mornings and just eating our meals from about 12 o'clock. That way we're on a good 14-hour fasting. So by adding a lot more vegetables to keep us full, we're basically reducing the amount of carbohydrates that we're eating. We're reducing the amount of insulin rises that's going on in our body, and that's helping to keep our blood sugar levels stable, which means we're less likely to snack on sugary foods. We're less likely to raise our insulin levels. And what's more, when your insulin levels are low, another hormone called glucagon is actually released to release the energy that's stored in our cells in our liver, which means we are using our stored energy instead of using carbohydrate energy, and that is how reducing carbohydrates helps you to lose weight. So tip number 4 is upping our physical activity. So we walk a lot as part of our exercise and to keep fit. But unfortunately, because we've been so busy, we tend to do that during the weekends, which when you are trying to lose weight, it's really not effective if you're only doing one form of exercise per week. And where I used to work out with the weights, because Mr. G is now working from home, I've not been able to really use the weights. So we've upped our physical activity by basically walking for 10,000 plus steps per day. And we've been really lucky, to be honest, because we've got quite a bit of floor space in our apartment, and we can walk the 10,000 steps without having to go out during the week when it's too busy to take a 2-hour lunch break to go and exercise. So again, using the Fitbit reminder every hour has been really helpful in terms of making ourselves get up and do the walk, and instead of the 250 steps that the Fitbit reminds you to do every hour, what we've been doing is doing 1,000 steps every hour from about 8 o'clock in the morning until about 6 o'clock in the evening. And you can really rack up a lot of steps in the daytime. It would be great if you can get outside to walk. Walking outside in the fresh air has many other benefits, including being exposed to the full spectrum of daylight, and this may actually help you to sleep better at night. In later spring and throughout the summer, you also get the chance to top up your vitamin D naturally from the sun. Being outside also gives you a change of scenery, which may help to take your mind away from your day-to-day struggles with menopause symptoms. So that's how simple losing weight has been in the past 3 weeks, and losing 2.3 kilograms in 3 weeks may not seem a lot to people, but that's what's important, is doing something sustainable and not having a dramatic weight loss based on a diet that isn't sustainable. What's important is having a sustainable lifestyle where you are making steady changes throughout a period of time and not crash dieting. So those are my tips for losing weight steadily. That is giving up alcohol, reducing your carbohydrate intake, instead adding a lot of vegetables to provide the soluble and insoluble fiber to change the balance of gut bacteria that you have to be more beneficial to help you lose your weight and keep your energy levels up. Now next week I'll be posting a video on what I actually ate during week 2 of this past 3 weeks, just to help you, give you an idea of the types of food that I was eating that might help you plan your meals better. So if you want to watch that video, remember to hit the like button and to subscribe so you never miss another video when it comes out. And until next time, I'll see you then.